All right, so this is a garden in Latvia that I got to visit in the week of September 2nd through the 3rd. I think this is September 3rd that we're actually there. Basically, just in front of those beehives is the guy's fence, and then past it is open land where he just gardens out there. It's not his land, but he just gardens out there. So this is his backyard, the side, one of the sides of the house out into his backyard. He does do bees. He had two little kittens that were following us around the whole time. And he has a pretty decent sized chicken coop with a bunch of chickens in it. He's got places that are ready to be planted but aren't. And right in front of us, there's quite a few squash bushes and a greenhouse. And all this back here is not his land. It's just things he's built on the land behind him. So he's got a bunch of tomatoes in there. Some huge squash bushes. And then he has raspberries, hundreds and hundreds of raspberries, just row after row of them. You can see the fence on the right. Everything to the left of the fence is not his. He's got, I believe, 5 beehives at this property. And he has another property where he's got, I think, 50 hives. And so you can just go out there and walk through the raspberry bushes and get buckets of raspberries. There's so many there. He's got squash, a row of squash there. I don't know why those are on the ground, if he just didn't want those or what. I didn't ask. But they were huge. And then he has 100 of these. I didn't know what they were at first. Oh, wait. Still on the squash. So those plants right there, those are black currants. So they're pretty, I guess, popular in Latvia. And all those currants he grew from cuttings. And they were, I think he said all of them were, he planted last year, so it's all just 1 year of growth. Again, he's got tons of raspberries. He's got places like you can see the rows in the ground where he's either ready to plant or he's planted years before. This is his tomatoes on one far, not tomatoes, I'm sorry. These are his pumpkins. And they are gargantuan. He said these came from 5 plants. And they've just taken over this area. But he's got tons of huge pumpkins out there. I've never seen any that big. And then if you're not watching, you'll just step on plants. He's got rows. Everything's so green. He just has rows of things everywhere. So that, I believe, was carrots over there. Those are the black currants again. And then here's more pumpkins. Just those huge monster pumpkins. More of them. And then he said he can get the green ones, and if he gets them before they get too big, he can put the green ones in the oven. And he says he can actually cook and eat the green ones or use them. You can see how far those plants go back. And these are what's left over of his cucumbers. He harvested those the week before, or a few days before we got out there. This is on the other side. There's a ton of cabbage that he makes his sauerkraut with. And they're huge heads, just like all his other vegetables are huge. And then over here he has dill for his pickles. So he harvests all his cucumbers and then he makes pickles with them, and that's the dill. And I had one of those the day before we went. Oh, actually not the day before, but the morning before we went out there. They were really good. They had a little spice to them. They had a real good dill flavor. So this stand, I believe, is just going to seed now. So I can collect all the seeds. And then right over next to it, he has a row of carrots. And those are pretty big as well. And then that row right next to it, that's all beets. But you don't see the beet leaves because he said the deer come in and eat his beet leaves, so they don't do great. But he makes his borscht with his beets. And that's the only thing the deer eat is the beet leaves. So you can come out, or he can come out and spend a few minutes every day and have plenty of food for anything he wants. Okay, so this is back in his yard on the side of the house. Those are the cucumbers he harvested previously. And all in his yard, he has apple trees. And he has apples for days and days and days. They're all along the side of his house. And then he has a little grove of them on the other side. And there's a bunch of onions he's drying. Out here he has a few random black currant. Oh, I almost stepped on a mole there. It had its head sticking out of that hole. He's got red, green, apples. It's all over the place. And then I wasn't sure if this was his property or not because it was separated by a fence. but he has access to it, and it's got all the apples. So I think it's his. But you can just see these little trees are just covered in apples. You see on the ground all the little mole hills. He's got lots and lots of moles. But I'm guessing he has so many vegetables that they really don't hurt his crop. More apple trees. Garden for herbs and greens. I believe that's more carrots right there. And then right next to that is a bunch of lettuce. And then herbs on the side of that, I think. Oh, maybe some kale as well. Some beautiful fir trees. And then he has 2 more greenhouses on his property, and that's one of them. And he just does tomatoes in this one. And it's full front to back. He has conduit that holds up does the shape. And then over the conduit, he does slats of wood so the plastic's not on the wood, and then he hangs string to tie up his tomatoes from the wood. He's got a real good variety of different tomatoes in there, and they're all doing well. And then here's another greenhouse that's on part on the side of his house. It's like one wall is the side of his house. He's got onions, potatoes, garlic, tomatoes sitting and curing in there. And then again, a ton of tomato plants. And this one he can keep going, I think year long, just because he has that furnace in there. So that furnace will keep it nice and warm. So that was the garden I went and visited in Latvia. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was interesting. I thought you guys might like it. So I hope you did. Hope you guys got some enjoyment out of it. Thanks for watching. Bye.